Filming these episodes of Beyond Her Hustle have not been easy for me, but I've been loving the feedback so far, and I'm just excited to see where this goes and where this leads. It has been almost like therapeutic to actually talk about these things because, being an entrepreneur, a content creator, influencer, I hate that word now, but over the last few years, I've definitely made that like my personality trait, I feel like. And so talking about these things has been challenging just because I'm not sure, of course there's people who are saying that they love it and they relate to it, and then on the other side in my back of my mind sometimes I'm thinking like, "Oh, I wonder what people are really thinking about it." But I appreciate all of you who have been tuning in for these last several episodes of Beyond Her Hustle. And I'm just really excited to see where this ends up going. And I just hope that I am helping someone out there realize that there's so much more to life and that you can still have success in your career, in your business, and still have wealth within your finances, within your spirituality, within your health, within your mental health. There's so many other ways to achieve wealth. And so I'm just excited to really just share this journey with you all and just dive into a lot that I've been going through as being someone who has hustled and made a lot of money. And one thing that I've learned is that the more that I've started to seek healing, the more that I've started to seek a more holistic approach to wealth, I've realized that having tons of businesses that I'm operating, working multiple jobs, that's really not a flex. I feel like that has been glorified over the last several years with people talking about how they're running, 10 different businesses. Or I saw a post the other day about someone who was working 4 full-time remote jobs. 4 jobs. That's insane. But it's glorified. It's glorified to work the hardest, to do everything you can to make the most money, even if that means sacrificing everything else in your life. And just that narrative that's being pushed is so dangerous. It's so completely dangerous to push that narrative and saying that that's a good thing to do. Inside the book Purpose Driven Life, which is a book that I'm currently reading right now, so you'll probably hear me talk about that quite often. In that book, Rick Warren talks about how when you start to move more towards your purpose, you start to do less. And it took me a minute to wrap my mind around that because I've always been someone who was always doing, doing, doing. I was starting this business, doing this partnership, having this new idea. If you guys go and log into my GoDaddy account, you'll see that I have hundreds of domains that I bought because I had a good idea that I wanted to start, because I've just been all over the place, literally just all over the place, very scatterbrained, just trying different things, seeing what sticks. That was my strategy for life, is trying everything until something sticks. And when Rick Warren said that when you start to move in your purpose, you start to do less, that resonated with me in a way that I cannot even explain, because it's challenging living in a world where it is glorified and it is a flex, to operate 10 businesses at one time. You have all these streams of income. But a lot of those people are not talking about the nights where they're up all night long and they're crying and they're stressed out and they're tired and they're running out of money, they're running out of energy. Those are things that we're not talking about. And I can tell you right now that that was me. There were nights where I would just stay up and I would cry because I'm so tired, and I would get overwhelmed because there's so much to do. And then because of that overwhelm, I would just be stuck and then I just wouldn't do it at all. Right. And then there's consequences to not doing things that you are obligated and you committed to doing. There's times where, I had interviews that I was late to because I just had so much to do and so much on my plate because I put it on my plate. Or interviews where I just cancel. I'm like, I just can't do it. I don't have the energy. It's not a flex trying to do everything and be everything. And I used to think that it was. And I'm just glad to finally be released from those shackles, you guys. Like, you don't understand how freeing it is. And it's slightly scary, because right now I'm going through a period of where I am trying to walk more in my purpose and I have the vision that God gave me, but that vision requires me to let go of a lot of things. And letting go, the thought of letting go is scary because that's what I'm comfortable with. It's a scary thought, but I know that I have to do that. I have to get uncomfortable. I don't really know exactly how this vision is going to be achieved, but I know that I was given it for a reason. And so I'm going to go for it. And I realized that by doing that, I am going to be doing less. Less as in, I'm not going to be everywhere. I'm not going to be trying to create a billion different products and promote a billion different products and service a billion different people with a billion different things. And so being able to actually let that go is such a it's a scary but also a feeling of like freedom at the same time. It's kind of hard to explain, but I realized that doing too much, you're not really able to focus. And focus has been a huge word for me these last few months, is learning how to focus. I believe that is extremely important. And I think that's why so many people struggle with being focused, because we know how powerful focus can be when you really are just zoning in and focusing on building one thing. And so that's the era that I'm moving into right now, is learning how to focus and build one thing. So it's definitely challenging trying to let go of all the different ventures and ideas that I have. Not saying that those things can never come back into play, but I feel right now that's just not the direction that I need to go. And just coming to terms with that has been very, very important. And really just learning that you can still have multiple streams of income, you can still make a really good living, you can still achieve your goals even if you're not doing 10 different things. There's so many other ways, and just learning more about passive investments and more passive streams of income. And I'm just really excited to start this new journey, especially with this brand, and just being more transparent and open and vulnerable, and just showing you guys the real, because this is a real life process that's happening right now. You guys, this is not just like something I made up for content. This is literally my life right now, where I'm making this drastic pivot, where I've been this influencer, this course creator, for many years, and that's what I'm comfortable with. But I realized that that did not lead me to building a real business at all. I did not build a business infrastructure, and now I'm moving into a phase where I feel like I'm almost starting over, because everything that I thought that I knew about business, it's not going to get me to where I need to be. I learned how to hustle because I guess I learned from other people that were hustling, and I didn't have a ton of guidance over these last few years, so really just trying to fumble and figure things out. But I really had to come to the realization just recently, is that I built this gigantic 7-figure hustle. I didn't build a business. Now that I am actually working on building a true business, it's a challenge for sure. But the main thing is focus. And the main thing is realizing that it's not a flex to be everything and do everything. And I just need to focus on where I know God is leading me. I'm just working through those things, just mentally and emotionally, and preparing, I don't know what the future holds, which a part of that is very scary. But now I feel like I'm a lot stronger in my faith than I was before, where before I would be just stuck right now, not knowing what to do. But because of my faith and knowing that, I may not be able to see the light at the end of the tunnel, but I know I'm being guided in the right direction. And so that's been very, very comforting for me. But understanding that I don't have to do everything, be everything, it's a great feeling. It is. And it takes a lot of work, and it takes a lot of healing, because for a lot of women, I'm sure you can relate. A lot of times, us overworking is like a trauma response, right? It's a trauma response for the times where you didn't have enough. It's a trauma response for the times where people let you down. And so now you feel like you have to do everything and be everything because you don't want to ever put yourself back in those situations. And so I've been having to work through those things. And I think on another episode, we'll talk about kind of the financial trauma that comes with that as well. But learning how to work through those things and understanding that those things occurred, right, where you didn't have or you couldn't depend or, you lost it. You lost it all. But understanding that you cannot allow those feelings of fear to dictate how you move and how you operate because that plays a big role in why you're probably feeling really burnt out because that has been me where I was trying to do it all, be it all, that fear of like, well, I have to make a certain amount of money in order to survive, right? Like you're always operating in survival mode, and that is just so tiring and so draining. And so just being able to overcome that has been a challenge. But I think the first part for me has been first accepting that and not being in denial and really understanding where that comes from and like why are you trying to work so hard, why are you trying to do everything, why are you so scatterbrained with all these ideas trying to execute them at the same time, right? Why do you feel like you have to work so much? Really figuring out the root of that has been just really key and essential for me throughout my process. Definitely, and just being able to overcome and let that go. I think one of the main revelations for me recently is like, if something's not done, it's just not going to get done, and being okay with that, right? Understanding that, staying up until 2 or 3 in the morning is not going to make that much of a difference, and it's just going to throw off probably your entire week. And so understanding that if there's not enough time to get something done, it's just not going to get done, and there's a solution to it, right? Like you'll find a way to make it work, but not just overly stressing things. That's one aspect of my life that has just changed drastically over the last several weeks is just not being so stressed, not stressing every little detail, and sometimes just letting things flow and letting things be and understanding that it's okay if I didn't get it done. You know, I have tomorrow to start again and to get it done, and just learning how to create better workflows and schedules within my day so that I'm not feeling overworked and stressed and trying to do too much. Like sometimes I was just trying to do too much. Definitely trying to do too much. And so that's just been very healing for me. It really has. And I've been a lot less stressed now that I'm not trying to do 10 different businesses and 10 different collaborations and a billion things. So I'm definitely curious, how everything is going to end up playing out. Definitely feelings of nervousness and anxiety, of course, now that I'm going to be leaving behind a lot of things that I depended on that I was comfortable with, but excited at the same time to really like build this business, build this infrastructure. And I'm just really excited to take you all on this journey, honestly, because I don't mind being transparent with everything, especially now. Like, what is there to lose? There's nothing, and I think that talking about some of the things that I'm doing and going through can be really beneficial to another woman who's going through similar things. And so if there's nothing that you take away from this episode, the main thing I want you to understand is that it's not a flex to do everything and be everything, because there 9 times out of 10 you've probably lost yourself in that process. Focus is one of your most valuable assets, being able to focus on something, and especially if you can come to the realization of what your purpose is, or at least start to move into the direction of that. Because I don't believe your purpose is just one concrete thing. I think in one season of your life, there's a purpose, and in the next season, the purpose might be different. And so whatever purpose is this current season of your life, just moving towards that and understanding that it might be scary to let the things that you're comfortable with go. But sometimes we have to let those things go in order to grow, in order to elevate. You'll see that once you start doing less and you still are having the same or even more levels of success in all areas of your life, I think then you'll realize that you're moving more towards your purpose. Hopefully, that is helpful for you. It's definitely been something that's helpful for me recently. And I really appreciate you for tuning into Beyond Her Hustle. I would love for you to join the community. We are on YouTube, we're on TikTok, Instagram, and Facebook under Beyond Her Hustle. And you can also listen to the audio version on every single podcast platform, whichever one is your favorite. You can find us. And I just love to hear your guys' feedback. So if you leave a review on the podcast platforms or leave a comment on, YouTube or some of our other videos, I love to hear the feedback. It's definitely encouragement for me, honestly, to keep going because like I said before, this has not been easy for me at all to really talk about these things. And I'm someone who is extremely reserved, and I tend to not really even talk about my feelings. It's just how I grew up. Like, I just never really talked about it. I always just shut down. And so, being able to actually talk through these things has been extremely beneficial for me. And I just pray that this is valuable for at least one person, even if one person is positively impacted by Beyond Her Hustle and this journey of ditching hustle culture and just finding a more holistic approach to wealth. I'll be happy with that. With that being said, I appreciate you for tuning into this episode. And, this is really just the beginning of this journey. And I'm just excited that you're here with me. And I will catch you on our next one.